Forget Groundhog Day. California has a tortoise that signals the coming of spring every year on February 2nd. Fans wait for the groundhog known as Punxsutawney Phil to emerge from hibernation and check for his shadow. Depending on whether or not Phil sees his shadow could mean an early spring, according to tradition. But these powers of prediction aren't exclusive to Phil, apparently, and he's far from the only animal that can allegedly sense the coming of warmer weather. Enter Mojave Maxine. In California, locals near the Living Desert Zoo and Gardens in Palm Desert wait for a tortoise, the aforementioned Mojave Maxine, to emerge from her brumation or a hibernation-like slumber in order to predict an early spring. However, unlike Groundhog Day, when folks wait to see what Phil will predict, Mojave reportedly waits for the weather to warm up before she emerges, making her less of a predictor of spring and more of a signifier or indicator. In any case, residents still have fun waiting for Maxine to emerge. The Living Desert Zoo and Gardens runs a contest to see who can most accurately predict when Maxine will come out of brumation. Students from nearby counties submit entries, and the first entry received from each county that is closest to the exact day and time wins, the zoo explains. Turns out spring might already be here, too. Maxine reportedly emerged this year sometime between 8:30 a.m. and 10 a.m. on January 23rd. But since California is so far away from Pennsylvania, this information likely won't affect Punxsutawney Phil's prediction at all. It's also worth noting that Phil only has an accuracy rate of 39% as of 2019. Everything you need to know to watch and stream tonight's Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is finally, thankfully, here. The San Francisco 49ers will try to win their sixth championship as they take on Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 54 at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Sunday night on Fox. But everyone in and around Greater Philadelphia appears to be pulling for the Chiefs and head coach Andy Reid, who was never able to bring home a Lombardi trophy during his 14 seasons with the Eagles. He's done everything right, from his work ethic to what I call his humanity. So who wouldn't pull for him? Former Eagles president Joe Banner told my colleague Jeff McLean. Handling this year's Super Bowl broadcast will be stalwarts Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, who will make a bit of history by calling their sixth Super Bowl together on Fox, the most for any one network. Pat Summerall and John Madden called a total of 8 Super Bowls together, but just 5 for CBS and 3 for Fox. Buck's father, legendary broadcaster Jack Buck, called the Chiefs' last Super Bowl appearance and their only win during Super Bowl IV on CBS back in 1970. Joe Buck was just 8 months old at the time. Amazingly, Buck didn't even realize the coincidence until CBS play-by-play announcer Jim Nantz mentioned it at the end of the AFC Championship game between the Chiefs and the Tennessee Titans. "I'm seeing my dad at his best. Before age set in. Before Parkinson's took hold. Before he went through lung cancer. Before he had diabetes and a pacemaker. Even the stresses of life. I'm seeing my dad at his peak. And I didn't know him then," Buck told the Los Angeles Times while watching a restored version of the only Super Bowl his father ever called on television. "It's crazy to sit in my office, turn on YouTube, and in some ways do research about the Chiefs and their Super Bowl history, and have my dad brought to life for me by people who restore this old footage," Buck added. "I'm so thankful because they're presenting my dad to me like he's broadcasting last week. It's a lot of things that are brought to a head with one click of a mouse." Aside from the main broadcast, one of the many distractions available to fans will be a Super Bowl watch party on Fox's social media channels featuring Joe Montana, Brett Favre, and Drew Brees. The 3 legendary quarterbacks will be in a suite at Hard Rock Stadium, watching and talking about the game alongside Fox Sports analyst Joel Klatt. Since the AFC champion was designating the home team of Super Bowl 54, the Chiefs will be wearing their red home jerseys and white pants when they take the field on Sunday. The Chiefs' jersey will also sport a memorial patch in honor of late owner Lamar Hunt, where the Super Bowl logo is usually added. The 49ers will be wearing their white away jerseys and gold pants, but not without a bit of controversy. Cornerback Richard Sherman revealed the team pushed the NFL to allow them to wear the retro all-white jerseys from the 1994 Super Bowl season, but the league wouldn't grant them an exception. Fox's pregame coverage begins at 1 p.m. with Fox Super Bowl Kickoff, hosted by Charissa Thompson and featuring analysts Tony Gonzalez, Dave Wannstedt, Colin Cowherd, and former Eagles quarterback Michael Vick. NFL insider Peter Schrager, who also co-hosts Good Morning Football on the NFL Network, will also join the broadcast. Fox's Super Bowl pregame show will start at 2 p.m. and run 4.5 hours, right up until kickoff. Kurt Menefee will host alongside analysts Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long, Michael Strahan, and Jimmy Johnson. Rob Gronkowski and Greg Olsen, who is leaving the Carolina Panthers after 9 seasons and could end up calling games on Fox as an analyst, will also join the broadcast, along with NFL insider Jay Glazer. ESPN's coverage begins at 10 a.m. with postseason NFL countdown. Philadelphia Sports Hall of Famer Suzy Kolber will host, alongside analysts Louis Riddick and Steve Young, and NFL insiders Chris Mortensen and Adam Schefter. Also joining the broadcast as a guest analyst will be Los Angeles Rams head coach Sean McVay. A second crew hosted by Sam Ponder and featuring T.D. Bruschi, Matt Hasselbeck, Randy Moss, and Rex Ryan will join the broadcast from South Beach. Among the features planned is a piece called Mamba Mentality, where several NFL players talk about their connection and admiration of former NBA superstar Kobe Bryant, who died alongside his daughter Gianna and 7 other passengers in a helicopter crash last week. That segment is tentatively scheduled to air during the 10 a.m. hour. Give the NFL Network the award for longest Super Bowl pregame show. The special 8.5-hour edition of NFL Game Day Morning begins at 9 a.m. and features 4 different studios. The main attraction will be Rich Eisen, Kurt Warner, Michael Irvin, and Steve Mariucci hosting from the field at Hard Rock Stadium. Eagles safety Malcolm Jenkins and former Birds defender Chris Long will join NFL Game Day Morning during the 4 p.m. hour, but the most interesting segment might be Hall of Famers Brett Favre and Ed Reed talking about the new crop of elite quarterbacks with fellow Hall of Famer and Philadelphia native Andrea Creamer. Police: 2 dead and 2 wounded in shooting at Florida funeral. Riviera Beach, Florida. Gunfire erupted after a funeral Saturday in Florida, killing a teenager and a man and leaving 1 other person wounded, police said. Riviera Beach police said in a statement that the shooting happened near the Victory City Church shortly after 2:30 p.m. They said a 15-year-old boy and 47-year-old Royce Freeman died at the scene. The teen's name wasn't immediately released. Police initially said a woman and a teenager were also wounded, but later released a statement Sunday night saying the juvenile male was shot at a different location in Riviera Beach. The woman, whose name police didn't immediately release, suffered non-life-threatening injuries, police said. No arrests were announced as of late Saturday. Police said listening devices in the area that detect the sound of gunshots counted 13 rounds fired. Pastor Taiwante Di Lupo said in a video statement posted on Facebook that the church was very aware that violence was a possibility at the funeral because of a family dispute and that it had provided armed security. A Riviera Beach police officer also was present, he said. He said the security guards and police officer had left after the service when there were only a few stragglers remaining in the area. He said that's when a fight broke out across the street from the church and the shooting erupted. Police also said the shooting didn't happen on church grounds. He said none of the victims are church members and no one was injured on its property. He did not provide further details about the funeral. This is an isolated incident and it had nothing to do with Victory City Church, Lupo said. Police echoed the pastor's statement, saying the victims and the shooter knew each other and police believe the shooting was a result of a dispute between relatives of the deceased. The shooting was not a random act of violence, police spokesman A.J. Walker said in the statement. Riviera Beach is a suburb of West Palm Beach. Kisla. Will Steve Atwater invite Christian Okoye to Canton when Broncos safety is inducted in Hall of Fame? When the big knock finally came for the biggest hitter in Broncos history, it shook Steve Atwater from head to toe right down to his very soul. When I heard the knock on the door, I knew it was time, Atwater said Saturday. The big knock ended a long wait for Atwater to join the Pro Football Hall of Fame. A year ago, while awaiting his fate in a hotel room in Atlanta, the only knock Atwater got on Super Bowl Eve was from a very embarrassed and apologetic maid. So I tried to play it cool this time, he admitted. But I couldn't shake the jitters. This time, while hoping and praying for that knock from Hall of Fame President David Baker with good news, the anxiety was so great Letha Atwater threatened to go out for a walk rather than have to witness the disappointment in her husband's eyes again. When Dave knocked on the door, it was pretty obvious it wasn't the maid this time, Atwater said. He was shook to his very soul by knuckles rapping so hard on that hotel room door. The 53-year-old former Broncos safety was certain that this time it was for real, unless it was a very masculine maid. Ladies and gentlemen, Hall of Famer Steve Atwater. It's about time, don't you think? But now that's the dazzling way he will be introduced forever. Somebody better call a tailor. The safety Broncos country fondly calls the smiling assassin needs to be fitted for a gold jacket. I think Atwater told me, I'm going to look dapper in gold. On the gray, drizzly winter afternoon in South Florida when Atwater finally got the call from the Hall, he wore a diamond-encrusted Super Bowl ring on his right hand, a reminder of the championship won through blood, sweat, and tears shed alongside football brothers named John Elway, Terrell Davis, Shannon Sharpe and Gary Zimmerman. But as special as the first championship in franchise history will forever be in Broncos country, Atwater now also joins Elway, TD, Sharpe and Zim in an even more exclusive club in Canton, Ohio. "I'm part of the Pro Football Hall of Fame now," said Atwater, trying his newly bestowed football immortality on for size. "And I can't even believe I just said that." He wore number 27 for the Broncos from 1989 to 1998. He was named to the NFL's All-Decade Team in honor of 8 trips to the Pro Bowl during the 90s. The video of his "Yeah, you tried" baby tackle of Chiefs running back Christian Okoye in 1990 went viral long before YouTube was invented. Nearly 30 years later, that big hit still resonates in the hearts and minds of football men of a certain age, the players and coaches and fans who long ago fell in love with a bone-rattling game. We all thank the good doctors and sweet scientists that have demanded safety awareness and promoted player welfare in a violent sport. But in Broncos country, maybe the only play in franchise history anywhere near as celebrated as the helicopter by Elway in the Super Bowl victory against Green Bay is the hit put on Okoye by Atwater. "He hit Christian Okoye. That's one of the best hits I've ever seen," said Hall of Fame coach Bill Cowher, known for a chin made of granite and eyes red hot as lava when he patrolled